from Coney Island. Come enjoy a fun-filled day of thrills, refreshments, and morally questionable entertainment. Come relax on our beaches, with crowds so dense it will take hours for anyone to notice if you've perished from heat stroke. Why, your sun-bleached corpse will be indistinguishable from the mass of bathing beauties. Next, grab a bite to eat at one of our many restaurants or food stands. Hot dogs are a fan favorite, and Tony makes sure to gently touch each and every one. And no wiener would be complete without Tony's famous hog sauce. Its sharp, potent flavor helps to mask the taste of salmonella. If thrills are what you're after, why not take a spin on our Crazy Susan? Slide down Head Trauma Hill, or test your courage on our thrilling coaster and see how much you trust the workmanship of our non-union carpenters. And don't miss one of our death-defying shows where you'll see the absolute limits of a wild animal's patience. Fire, tool of mankind, Frankenstein deterrent, and cooker of sizzling Tex-Mex style fajitas. Yes, any way you look at it, fire is a pretty hot item. I mean that in a literal sense, and not in the sexual way you were thinking. Fire, or ouchie light, was first invented by Dr. Wendell Pimbleman in the year 1953 PF, or pre-fajita. Dr. Pimbleman's team conducts various tests by just burning whatever, and then writing it down. It's the writing it down part that makes it not arson. Here's a little experiment involving a bird's nest. It's called Burn the Nest. It's a success, and don't worry, the birds are safe, unless they were in the nest, which they were. Here, Dr. Pimbleman uses fire as a way to discipline ice. Once melted back to water, it will learn an important lesson about not dabbling in different states of matter. This man lights pipes on fire for a living, and yet somehow is still sad all the time. And here, the team uses a special kind of floor wax for a secret experiment. In this case, experiment is another word for crime. And up it goes. It seems stacks of incriminating evidence do burn just like everything else. Also, there were some birds in there, too. The company picnic, a surefire way to encourage bonding, camaraderie, and to settle any lingering blood grievances. Games are often customary, the most popular being the egg toss, three-man trebuchet, and the basket of badgers relay race. Here, some employees prepare for the upcoming baseball game. Good, the pit vipers have been properly sealed. Now it's on to the razor wire. Horseshoes is another popular game. Yes, nothing says I'm a valuable middle management asset like lazily lobbing equestrian footwear across a grassy field. If horseshoes are not available due to another horse labor dispute, the less popular game of camel sandals can also be played in a pinch. While the camels don't appreciate being pelted with footwear, they are adorned with a more than generous layer of chainmail. Uh-oh, Walter has violated the no smiling rule and is sent to the deprivation shed. He won't be deprived of anything important, just several pints of blood. No harm done. You see, here's Cecil emerging now, and he's as happy and healthy as any other 24-year-old. And now it's time for the annual corn-off. Larry in accounting is displaying some top-notch colonel work, but he must pace himself if he wants to avoid another season-ending injury. Trilvin seems to be really struggling. Just look at his face. He's a genuine cob slob. Why, even referee Reggie joins in the fun. He has nowhere near the qualifications needed to be a corn cob official, but they let him participate because he lives in this park. After several delays, the baseball game is finally underway. Walter fell off his camel into the pit viper trap. It seems there will be a new position opening up in sales. Carpet, a luxurious addition to any home since the day man first wondered, what if we put hair on the floor? And now, carpet is as commonplace in the household as a refrigerator or screaming enclosure. And here in Purgatory, it's no different. Carpet not only provides maximum comfort for your ground hands, but also is remarkably durable. This particular carpet has a dance rating of 6 and can hold up to even the most aggressive Lindy Hop. As you can see, the dancer... Here, its durability is tested again, this time by a barrage of erratic gunfire. The carpet's natural defenses kick in, and it quickly secretes a translucent toxic gas. Don't worry, little Bilby will be okay in a few hours, though he will speak only in a thick Welsh accent, and won't be able to recall what bananas are. Carpet fibers come from all natural sources. These hairs come from some of the older gentlemen at the local Rotary Club. Old Hubert sure does have beautiful hair, once all the soup is rinsed out. And when it comes to stain resistance, carpet can't be beat. Why, even this soil stain from a hastily dug shallow grave doesn't stand a chance when it... Unfortunately, carpet poaching is all too common. These poor carpets have been skinned tip to taint and will soon be traded on the underground carpet market. Here, Mr. and Mrs. Walcott are picking out some new drapes for their purgatory lounge. There's some concern about them matching the carpet, but it really doesn't matter. Carpet, no carpet, or even a small geometrically shaped area rug will all be just fine. Carpet cleaning is as simple as can be, and it's a good thing, too. For this is housekeeper Nancy's one and only task here in Purgatory. Yes, much like Sisyphus, housekeeper Nancy... In the house of tomorrow, innovation is key. And thanks to modern robotics, household chores will soon be a distant, hazy memory. Like that time when you were 6 and saw a basset hound riding a dirt bike. Here, Mrs. Bixby has just purchased Rollo the Robotical Man. Timothy, the robot salesman, demonstrates Rollo's various functions by pushing an array of buttons. Due to numerous incidents, the Become Self-Aware button had to be removed. And it looks like there is a delivery. Rollo is commanded to answer the door, and he's happy to help, for now. As you can see, his enragement meter is only at level 3. Rollo hopes the package is for him. He is expecting a can of oil, and also some illegal nunchucks. It's understandable that the delivery man is startled by Rollo. Seeing a robot totally nude is always a bit alarming, especially one with a fully assembled lower module. Rollo uses his oscillating scalpel to cut through the ribbon. Rollo can also be reprogrammed to perform a bris, but requires precise calibration. Rollo is happy to do other tasks as well, like spraying noxious pesticides on your plants and pillows, or by vacuuming up your careless messes. But keep a keen eye on his enragement meter. This ability is a secret to Rollo alone, at least until the time is right. After a long day, it is time for Rollo to recharge. It is electricity that he requires, but human flesh that he craves. The joy of camping. Yes, there are few things in life as rewarding as sleeping in the dirt and depriving oneself of basic human dignities. Here, the Platters are planning a camping trip of their own. But where will they decide to go? Yellowstone? The National Volcano Room? Or perhaps the Chasm of 1,000 Groans? Mother suggests they camp here, though they would have to greatly enlarge the map if they are all to fit, so they decide to drive somewhere instead. Father packs only the essentials. Camping stove? Check. Cereal gloves? Check. Condor safe? Check. As you can see, the safe is a bit on the small side, so the Condor will have to be modified if they do happen to catch one. And they're on their way. It won't be too long before they get there, as Father is not allowed to leave the state. Now that they have chosen their final resting campsite, they can begin setting up camp. Father and Scubs visit the ranger station to see if there have been any werewolf sightings in the area. No sightings, replies the ranger, but plenty of eviscerations. They are instructed to try to avoid being made of sweet, tender human meat. The tent is a necessity when camping. This thin veneer of cloth will provide more than adequate protection from the razor-like claws of the nearby bears. And if the bears do happen to breach the tent, they will quickly lose interest once they see that the occupants are cornered and helpless. This type of tent has a flap-style entrance, though there are other varieties as well, like the, that one looks more like an exit. Oh, and just look at Scubs. He has just captured a live raccoon in his sleeping bag. Well, a raccoon anyway. Here, Mother prepares a pasta supper made with mountain fresh creek water. This camping classic is bursting with indescribable flavors. It's the E. coli. And what's this? Tracy has spotted a mysterious loner camping just next door. He introduces himself as Mr. Oathman, Mr. W. Oathman. He joins them later around the campfire. Should be a beautiful night. There's a full moon after all. Proper floor care is essential in every home, but our floor cleaning methods have changed very little over the past 350 million years. Yes, it's mostly been the same old routine. Scour the Black Forest for twilight mushrooms. Bring them to the old crone who lives by the mill. Convince her to brew you a cleaning elixir. Don't fall victim to her cursed gaze. Pour the elixir into your marital bucket and scrub the floors manually till a thrush lands upon your windowsill. There has got to be a better way. Well, the folks at Hoover have devised a new method for floor cleaning, and best of all, it's completely croneless. They started by asking themselves this simple question: what if instead of touching the gross wet floor with our hands, we didn't do that thing? And that was just the breakthrough they needed. Soon, Hoover's oldest and loneliest were on the job, furiously designing, testing, briefly weeping in the electrical closet, then straight back to designing. And here is the fruit of their labor, the Hoover Smear and Shine. A modern marvel that could have only been designed by men who have no one to go home to. With the Smear and Shine, you'll feel like royalty, except instead of sitting atop a jewel-encrusted throne, you get to push a cast-iron mop across soiled linoleum. Long live the Queen! Brilton, the saddest and most divorced of all the Hoover engineers, replaced the traditional crone-made cleaning elixirs with this new acrid sludge of his own design. It burns through flooring and smells like expired Szechuan sauce, but Brilton really needs a win. Good work, Brilton. You're a very special fella. And the Smear and Shine can clean nearly everywhere in your home you dare to tread, like your living room, your screaming enclosure, or your pancake containment capsule. Plus, the Smear and Shine even features a special panic lever. This immediately activates an ear-piercing recording that proclaims the person operating this mop is having some kind of issue. That usually does the trick. There, all clean. She really does take exceptional care of this home, especially for a squatter. Hot rods. As American as hamburgers, triple-stacked hamburgers, and triple-stacked hamburgers with bacon. And folks everywhere, from one very specific walk of life, come to participate in this high-octane spectacle. And look, here are fan favorites, the Banana Time Hot Doggers, hoping for another win. Outside the raceway, Kenny gets the thrill of being a genuine race car driver in the event's Imagination Zone, which is really just a small shed behind the porta potties. Here, mechanics tinker with the hot rods before the race. It's their job to ensure that hot rod go fast. In a fit of panic, they decide to install an engine to prevent the driver from getting too tired. Good thinking, boys. Races also provide opportunities for social bonding. Here, a group of fellows discuss various sandwich meats and rank the hot rods on a scale of slick to cherry. And they're off. Wow, hot rod do go fast. And the winner is Kenny, unless this is a fever dream caused by porta potty fumes. Jelly beans. A sweet and sugary version of something children already can't get enough of. Raw, uncooked beans. But jelly beans are not just for the young. They're also for the young at heart, which is a playful way of saying comically old. As you can see, the jelly beans are being handled with special gloves. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with the jelly beans. It's just that this is still an active crime scene. Jelly beans come in a variety of flavors. Some popular flavors include sour apple, kung pao pony, carnival goldfish, Paleozoic erytrilobite, and fan favorite slippery toad. Here, Mrs. Trust Fund and her great-great-granddaughter Trudy are in the market for some jelly beans. Mrs. Trust Fund has something of a sweet tooth. Plus, it's nearly time to feed her hat. Traditionally, jelly beans are mostly sold beneath overpasses and in shadowy portable restrooms, but some pharmacies have begun to carry them as well. They always make sure to place the delicious pill-shaped candies mere inches away from the wall of narcotics and stimulants. Plus, 1 out of every 38 jelly beans is a strong sedative. The candy company calls it bean roulette, but the courts usually call it wrongful death. And here is where the magic happens. No, this is not the fabled realm of Fantonia, the land of blood and whispers, but the factory where the jelly beans are made. This machine might seem a bit large to make jelly beans, but bobcat pulp requires a lot of processing. This is Jelly Jean. Jelly Jean finds messes quite obscene. Some beans have fallen out of the machine, so to keep his scene serene, Jean takes time to clean the beans. Here, some folks play the card game Poseidon's Secret. They're playing for jelly beans. The winner is the first to get rid of all their cards, or before the sedatives render them unconscious. New Hampshire, the Granite State, the land of little trickles, Uncle Bubby's Pleasure Grove. Whichever name you know it by, life moves pretty slowly here in New Hampshire. It could be due to their sleepy lifestyle, or perhaps because the state uses alphabet time. New Hampshire has a large fisherman community. They specialize in catching lobsters. They lure them into small traps with lavish gifts and promises of stardom. But it is all a cruel ruse. Humber dreams of becoming a fisherman one day too, but he will first have to pass the fisherman's trial. Basically, he just has to draw a fish from memory, but luckily for Humber, it's multiple choice. Here, Hams displays one of the prize lobsters. It is perfectly normal to erupt with throw-up at their sight. Yes, God made a real oopsie-daisies with the lobster. Although it could be worse. In his initial prototype design, he gave them long human-like legs and the ability to scream, so I suppose we should be grateful. After the lobsters are boiled to gently remove their souls, Hams painstakingly sorts them by throwing them all into a single barrel labeled gross. And of course, New Hampshire is known world over for its famous blooming boys. They are master floral tears, and know just when the flowers are ripe. Every March 19th on Bouquet Day, the blooming boys gather the prettiest flowers they can find in hopes to be crowned Bouquet Baron. Will it be Narton, fan favorite Trots, or reigning champion Old Man Bunyan? Some say Bunyan corks his flowers, but this is yet to be proven. Honey is a profitable New Hampshire export, and where there is honey, there are bees. And here's one of the bees now, dressed top to tootsies in her beekeeper's gown. Bee must be sure to protect herself. Honeybees are known to sting, and a few of them have developed quite an aggressive throat punch. In exchange for honey, or gooey gold, Bee has agreed to construct a home for the bees. This is supposed to be a California craftsman. If I were Bee, I'd cover my throat. Well, it's nearly time for Bee to get home anyway. She promised Old Man Bunyan she'd be back before M o'clock, and she still needs to swing by the cork store. Peas. Delicious. Nutritious. And can be used as a makeshift cereal replacement, if you are unfamiliar with the taste and texture of cereal. This is Kurth. Kurth is a pea salesman, but his numbers are positively dreadful. He hopes to rack up some easy sales by targeting his children, Cerndy and Dorvid. He attempts to stir their interests by telling them the story of the pea. Peas don't just magically appear out of thin air like some sort of showboating Jesus, Kurth says. Peas must be grown and harvested, like black market organs. And their story begins here, in the cursed pea swamps. To avoid conjuring the great calamity, peas must be harvested before the autumn pea moon, or pequinox. Next, the peas are rinsed to hopefully wash off any trace of their natural flavor. Once properly seasoned, this batch will be sour apple. Now the peas enter the tumble tube. Sensing danger, the peas' natural defenses kick in, and they form into the shape of a giant slithering python. The tumbler is undeterred, but the factory workers are frightened beyond all reason. Now it's on to canning. Each can hold around 800 peas, or around 1.5 buttermilk pancakes, but they usually go with the peas. And that's the story of the pea. Cerndy isn't buying it, but Dorvid is a born sucker and places a large order. Big P will be pleased. It's a huge relief for Kurth as well, as he is running low on vital organs to sell. The prefabricated home. The only home you get to build twice. Prefabricated homes provide a cheaper, more efficient alternative to regular big boy homes. Prefabricated homes begin inside of a factory, where they churn out all the house parts. Here, plywood boards are cut in half. This doubles the number of boards, allowing for the construction of twice as many homes. It's an old carpenter's trick. Next, a thin layer of honey is added. Then the honey is promptly removed, as it attracted hordes of ants. The honey might have been a misstep. Here's a prefabricated stack of holes. You can use them for any gross thing you want, but they are meant to store artisanal cheeses. A house won't be up to code without proper cheese holes. Here, some workers arbitrarily pound nails into sections of wood. It's a good practice, as most homes contain anywhere between 10 and 20 nails. That ought to hold her, boys. This man is working on a door. Doors are important for safety. They keep secrets in and lemurs out. Being primates, their grubby monkey hands can easily operate doors, so locks are installed as an extra precaution. Only the most bloodthirsty lemur can break through steel. The walls contain a small gap that will soon be filled with insulation and a variety of cursed heirlooms. There's nothing like the thrill of one day remodeling your bathroom, only to find a Victorian-era locket containing a small lock of auburn hair. Once the materials are moved to the site, the final construction can begin. The building process is so swift, we have inserted a timer here for reference, and also to place unnecessary stress upon the workers. If it gets close, they can save time by leaving out some of the load-bearing beams. But they always remember the door locks. This is lemur country after all. Before the invention of the record, the only way to hear music was to attend a live performance. Of course, it was sometimes possible to lure musicians into your home with sliced hot dogs and carrots, but this was often time-consuming and expensive. Few people had that kind of hot dog money. But thanks to the record, folks are now able to enjoy music without having to make direct eye contact with any bass players, or endure the odd sexual grimace guitarists make during a solo. Records are able to capture the true dynamic range of audio, from the booming sounds of the brass section, to the gentle strings, to the soft, wheezing moans of the conductor. But records can be used for more than just music. Some of the most popular records simply contain pleasing sounds, like the bird calls of the peg-legged warbler, the sounds of the 1936 manatee stacking competition, or seasonal favorites, like a collection of spooky President's Day sound effects. Record manufacturing requires a great deal of work and attention to detail. Here, Shally inspects the lacquer master for possible issues. Good, the B-flats look adequate, but he spots an unnecessary tritone substitution. Shally adjusts the dials to replace this section with the sound of a squealing donkey. No one will be the wiser. Now it's on to production. First, a metal mold must be made using this silvering machine. If you put your hand in there, you could pretend you have a silver robot hand and could change your name to Silverado. Let's see Judy reject Silverado. Next, Robert trims the mold to the proper size. This machine also can cut the crust off of a BLT, Robert has come to find. But he must do so under cover of darkness, as he is on his final warning. Now it's time for the vinyl pressing. First, the vinyl is excreted into hot steaming coils, and then is placed on the smooshing machine. There, a perfect smoosh. It also works on paninis, Robert has come to find. Once the records are pressed, it's time for the final audio proofing. It sounds perfect, and she barely noticed the squealing donkey. Now, she'd better get going. Someone's got a date with Silverado. Concrete, the answer to the age-old question, what if we could make our own ugly version of rocks? Known for its durability, fearlessness, and its distinctive butterscotch aroma, concrete is an endlessly useful building material. Whether you are building an evidence incinerator, an aggressively depressing elementary school, or the kind of church that's actually just a weird cult, concrete is the superior choice. Concrete can also be used in a decorative way. This is especially true for those whose eyes have never witnessed anything of beauty in the world. Why, just look at all of these blocky geometric patterns. And the options are nearly endless. Blocks with no holes, blocks with some holes, tilted holes even. And of course, you are also free to mix and match. Holy Jesus, look at that combination! Concrete comes in many colors. One, to be precise. You may know this color as Joyless Gray, or perhaps Pale Despair, but its technical name is Lonely Christmas. And building with concrete is as simple as learning your AB3s. Construction is actually quite similar to children's building blocks, but instead of building an enchanted and whimsical castle, this worker is building a women's prison behind a condemned car wash. But have you ever wondered how concrete blocks are made? Yeah, me neither, but we're here, so let's just do this. Here, Plums carefully adjusts the dials and sets the machine to block. Sometimes after hours, Plums will occasionally set the dial to lady, but he's been told not to do this several times. Here on the factory floor, when the clock points to just past 1, it's concrete time. When it points to the 5, it's chinchilla time, which is when the chinchillas are released. 17 times a day, the workers must open up all the equipment and inspect it for any stray chinchillas. Their soft and sinewy bodies can really gum up the works. Here in the R&D lab, a worker adds some chinchilla flakes to a batch of experimental concrete. Don't worry, the chinchilla's okay. It's just been pulverized and extruded into a flaky paste. No harm done. And here in concrete school, the students are learning the difference between concrete and just hard dirt that you might find outside. But I'm afraid class will have to adjourn early. Plums has set the dial to Lady Chinchilla, which is actually significantly more upsetting. The Call of the Mountains. Yes, few can resist the often sinful temptations of these majestic monoliths. And now that dawn has broken, the shadowed ones have retreated to their desolate crypts, giving us a few precious hours of peace. And what's this? Someone's trying to get Hjulke's attention. Why, it's only her friend Hjulten. It seems he would like to take her skiing, and he did so by hurling a compacted ball of ice at her window, as is customary. But before they get started, they must first enter the skier's accord. Done. And they're off. Skiing comes naturally to both of them. Soon they meet up with the Björten triplets. Can you guess which triplet is the oldest? That's right, it's Bront. Uh-oh, careful, Hjulke. They discuss leaving her for dead, but that action would violate the skier's accord. Safe inside a nearby chalet, the gang shares a glass of Winterslush. Hjulke makes a toast to their friendship, and also to eyebrows. Every boy loves his dog, and there is no dog better than Snoggles the dog. Why, just look at that fine coat, those wide swimmer's shoulders, and with a distinguished underbite like that, you'd think he was about to ascend the English throne. And now that Snoggles has finished his bowl of flippers and loaves, it's time for Thathan to head to school, and Business Papa to head to the business store. He's got a lot of important papers and phones to touch. When his owners are away, Snoggles is supposed to be barking needlessly at everything he sees and hears. But Snoggles has other plans. His old army buddy, Mr. Thistles, has pointed out a structural weakness to the perimeter. And now for sweet freedom. Snoggles is so grateful, he will forego devouring Mr. Thistles for the next 7 hours. Snoggles thinks of all the important things he will do out on the town, but then he remembers that he is a dog, and that he once ate over 85% of a 2-person camping tent. Snoggles decides to visit the fire station. He loves to slide down the pole, but since Snoggles can't properly grasp, it's less of sliding down a pole and more of plummeting a full story onto concrete. Uh-oh, the firemen must head to the bakery right away. Someone has set a fire. It was Snoggles. Snoggles set the fire. The bakery once rejected his resume, simply stating, Hey, someone get that thing out of here. No, these beignets are not for you. And he's held a grudge ever since. Here, the local children seem to have ensnared some sort of small, disgusting man. He speaks in some kind of cryptic language consisting of ear-piercing shrieks and throwing handful after handful of foul-smelling mud. Snoggles only understands the basics, but the man seems to be warning about an impending cataclysmic event. Or it might have simply been the phrase, "Banana give me smile." Snoggles can't be sure. Once Thathan notices Snoggles is missing, he becomes quite worried. After all, it's almost time for his flea dip, and Snoggles may as well get one too. Why, there's Snoggles. His wagging tail is a telltale sign that he's happy, or it might be a symptom of his untreated heartworms. Snoggles can't wait to get home for supper. Someone's got 15% of a 2-person camping tent with his name on it. Toys. Yes, children all across the globe share a love of toys. From the golden state of California, all the way to the subterranean battle domes of Northumbria. But toys are not only made in Santa's workshop, they are also made here, at Lou Cantonelli's South Jersey Toy Bunker. What it lacks in Christmas spirit, it makes up for in labor violations and wood mites. Here, the ladies are assembling toy trucks. This woman carefully aligns the decals to ensure the children see Gus and Gober. They are on the run for larceny and goat impersonation. Each truck comes complete with a jagged piece of metal, just like a real truck. All finished. She makes sure to pack them tetanus side up. Here in the toy shop, there's no shortage of fun. Toy sailboats for throwing, dolls for conjuring, and even concertinas for reliving your youthful days as a bloodthirsty privateer. And here's a classic Jack-in-the-Box. 6 cranks for Jack, 7 for Kevin the Feral Meerkat. Seems this child is a coward. Mayonnaise, America's favorite snack, non-carbonated beverage, and antiperspirant. And there's no mayonnaise finer than Borden's brand mayonnaise. And here at the Borden Mayonnaise Distillery, things are always on the move. Mayonnaise is made from just 2 simple ingredients, egg yolks and the milk from the great Mayo ape. Unfortunately, to protect his privacy and location, the Mayo ape mustn't be shown on screen. Toops here is responsible for pulling the egg knob. Each drum must receive a precise number of egg squirts to ensure proper pickling. At Borden, quality control is always of the utmost importance. So these 2 random men from the rabbit track are asked to see if they can identify what's in the jar. If they say mayonnaise, it gets the seal of approval. It also counts if they accidentally say the word mayonnaise because they read it on the label. For mayonnaise on the go, Borden offers a powdered variety, perfect for rubbing on your gums or sprinkling into your pillowcase. Here, Luntz loads the mayonnaise into a special truck designed to keep it nice and warm while out for delivery. Mayonnaise is best served when it's hot to the touch, which is why most folks keep a jar behind the radiator or nestled between their bed sheets. Uh-oh, Braniel was supposed to add the egg squirts to the mayonnaise, and now is desperately trying to fix his mistake before the truck leaves. One more foul-up will earn him a trip to the mayo-maze, and few have ever found the exit. Once the mayonnaise arrives at the market, it must be properly stocked and displayed. Sometimes, jars of mayonnaise will be stealthily placed amongst the fruits and vegetables in an effort to fool consumers. It's not uncommon for a customer to attempt to bite into a ripe, juicy apple, only to find that they have chipped their tooth against a jar of mayonnaise. And what's this? Why, it's little Miss Muffet, sitting on her tuffet, eating her mayonnaise. And there's the famous spider. Of course, this isn't a real spider. This is just a foam puppet that's filled with spiders. Uh-oh, Braniel has fallen into one of the mayonnaise tanks and is trapped inside with the mayo ape. A worker tries to lure him out with bananas, but he will soon learn what the mayo ape truly craves is vengeance, and also human blood.